On this final Saturday in August, it's the first game of the season for the Citadel Bulldogs. And what an opening opponent they have. The reigning national champs in FCS and the #1 team in the land, the North Dakota State Bison, making the trip to the low country of South Carolina to kick it off in 2025 on Engles SoCon football. And hi, everybody, and welcome in with Reginald Walker Jr., Pete Yannity. So the Citadel, a team that was vastly improved last year in the second season under Maurice Drayton, with a mighty foe, the front end of a home-and-home series with North Dakota State, winners of 10 of the last 15 national titles. An imposing task is at hand.
Yeah, certainly a difficult task, a tall task. When you talk about tall, you talk about those national championships, the consistency that we've seen with this North Dakota State program. On the other side of things, you look at this Citadel program, they feel like everything is on the up. Big improvement from year 1 to year 2 with Coach Drayton. Now into year 3, big expectations, a huge year special teams-wise last year as well.
Now, one of the keys to their march to another national championship last year at North Dakota State, receiver Bryce Lance among the national leaders.
Bryce Lance does everything you can ask for from the wide receiver position. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got the ability to make plays down the field. He can go up in 50-50 ball situations and win those battles as well. I love the fact that he can run every single thing in the route tree, and just when you think you've got him figured out, every now and then, they might actually hand him the football as well. He's that dynamic of a football player. It's all about getting him a chance to get opportunities to touch the football. And then for the Bulldogs, Garrison Johnson Jr., running the football is what this program is going to continue to be built on. Johnson Jr. has the ability to get inside, outside. He breaks tackles, very difficult guy to bring down, and then he's got enough speed on the back end of those runs to finish big plays down the field. Be very interesting to see if they can get him untracked early in this football game in the season opener today.
And to that point, they'll want to have Garrison Johnson carrying the ball a bunch, keep the ball away from North Dakota State, but the Citadel will go on defense first. At least they're going to kick it away to start out after deferring at the coin toss. Ben Barnes, the left footer, and back deep. We just saw a couple of dangerous return men, Jackson Williams and Raja Nelson. It'll be Williams looking for an opening. Able to make the turn, get out close to the 35-yard line. A steady rain falling at kickoff on the field turf here at the Citadel. Let's go downstairs, field side, to the third member of our team, Dave Friedman. Dave?
Pete, it's a steadier rain, but for the Bison, who have won 10 national championships and are ranked #1 in the country, this is nothing new. They're used to dealing with the elements. For Citadel head coach Maurice Drayton, he said this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for our fans and our community, our athletic department, and our league to see what does #1 look like. How do we travel like them? How do we resource like them? And it will take a lot to play big time with NDSU today.
Enu on the first carry of the game get first down yards. That's what North Dakota State does, but they've got a lot in their arsenal, and their new starting quarterback is Cole Payton. He's got big shoes to fill, Reggie.
But Cole Payton, obviously you think about the lineage of quarterbacks, and we'll get into that later on in this game. He's got big shoes to fill, but he's played a lot of football, mostly as a runner the last couple of years, but now we see him as the lead dog as a passer, and that time he's nearly picked off on that first attempt.
First attempt of the game is knocked away. Nice job over on the flank. Bradley Jones, returning quarterback.
This is a great job by Bradley Jones. He's in phase. He's right with Lance right there and does an excellent job driving on the route. Gets his right hand in there with the left hand behind. That's perfect technique on a play like that. Well done there by Jones. I like Jones's length, 6'1", long arms. He plays really long as well.
Broke up 8 passes a year ago. The lefty fires incomplete. Trying to target Raja Nelson. They'll throw it to a lot of guys, and on the coverage, Bulldogs are going to have to be on their toes. That was Nicholas Mirabella, the nickel.
And this is a situation, Cole Payton's just got to make this throw. That is very much behind the receiver. You've got to be more accurate if you want to continue to have the success this program has had throughout the years.
North Dakota State plays football in the Missouri Valley Conference. They led that league at 55% on third down tries a year ago. This is a 3rd and 10. Quarterback draw because the physical Peyton can run. And it looks like he's got the first down. At least he's mighty close.
Yeah, it's a big first down run right there on a 3rd and long situation. And that's something they've got to try to stay out of, is 3rd and long situations. Right up the middle. This is a simple quarterback draw. He's got a little bit of a lead with the back in there, and he picks up the first down. Also something to keep an eye on here on this next play. The left guard, number 71, Nate Testad, has left the game. His helmet came off. It's actually going to be 4th and inches.
Mikey Rosa on the tackle. Well, last season, North Dakota State, 15 out of 22 on 4th down tries. Citadel defense, middle of the pack in the SoCon in these situations. And when you've got a quarterback who stands 6'3" and weighs in the neighborhood of 235 pounds, you can do just that in short yard situations.
Yeah, they were able to get in it. Marika Pinu gets in there, hits it up inside. Nice physical run. I like the call there. They're going to be aggressive, especially in this portion of the field. Might as well go for it, as well as this team plays defensively as well. They're going to try to get ahead in this game and then use that running game to their advantage, whether it's running back or those quarterbacks.
So 1st and 10 for North Dakota State, opening series of the game. A rainy day here in the low country of South Carolina. Bison playing for a first time in the Palmetto State. Not happening that time. Melvin Ravenel stepping up for the Citadel, stopping Penu trying to get outside.
Ravenel, the hometown kid, Goose Creek right up the street, does a nice job. You see him right there on the left side of your screen. He reads it, slides inside, and then attacks. The other thing that helps there, Cale Williams did an excellent job kind of setting an edge there, keeping everything inside. That allowed Ravenel to make the play.
Big reason for the huge improvement in year number 2 last season under Maurice Drayton, a much better Citadel defense. Coming out ready to go against one of the top offenses in the nation when they won the title. Fumbled on the snap, lost yards. Bulldogs seizing the opportunity right away. Nice job by Tyreek McDaniel, the free safety, who was close to the line of scrimmage.
And, Pete, I don't know if Cole Payton is nervous or what, but we've seen a couple of errant throws. Now a snap issue there, just getting the snap and staying under control. You wonder if the moment, I don't want to say it's too big, but if you wonder how much he's reacting to the moment instead of just settling in and playing football.
Payton saw plenty of game action a year ago, played in 8 ball games. Had a 73-yard touchdown run against Illinois State among his achievements. Plenty of time in the pocket. Over the middle. Sliding attempt in and out of the hands of the intended target. It'll be 4th down. Tried to get it to one of his top receivers, Chris Harris. Now, punting unit coming out.
I just talked about, sorry to cut you off there, but I just talked about whether or not he was poised and under control. This is a very good throw, good patience in the pocket, scans the entire field. You got to come up with this catch for your quarterback. Harris will be the first one to pat his chest and say, that's on me. I got to bring that in for my guy.
Aaron Bickerton, native of England, began his collegiate career at Howard, arrived in Fargo, North Dakota last year, but he redshirted. Trying to pooch one here. Noth back deep for the Citadel. Will let it bounce, and the Bulldogs will go to work offensively for the first time this afternoon, just inside of their own 25-yard line. Give us your keys to the game, Reg.
Yeah, you have to establish the run if you're the Bison. You got to keep this quarterback, who's obviously his first time as the guy, the starter, got to keep him in good situations in 2nd and 3rd down, and then you better find a way to win special teams against this Citadel football team. And then for the Citadel, you got to win first down. Largely inexperienced at the quarterback position, and then alignment and assignment. You're going to see a lot of different formations from this North Dakota State Bison offense. Got to get lined up on defense.
Who was going to play quarterback for the Citadel was the big question coming in. Some newcomers, and they start out with Quinton Hayes at QB, inside handoff. Couple of yards picked up by Garrison Johnson, the aforementioned running back who returns to key this offense. Hayes arriving from the Air Force Academy. Pretty good as a starter last year. 6 starts. He won 4 of the games with the Falcons.
And he can throw the football a little bit. 43 attempts, 25 of 43 there. So it's not just running the football in that old school Air Force downhill running game and option running game. They can throw it a little bit too. And Hayes is a guy that knows how to do that.
The North Dakota State defensive coach is talking about how the Citadel will mix in some option. They stay up the middle. Garrison Johnson once again. Johnson came from Northwestern State in Louisiana and hoping to be an effective weapon for that guy. So Hayes, his first start in the rain against one of the best defenses in the country a year ago. They were third in the Valley in total D, but big area you look at, they forced 25 turnovers. They were plus 19 among the national leaders.
Yeah, they do a great job getting their hands on the football. They're especially in the secondary, very much in phase on a consistent basis. That allows them to get in the mix to get the football tipped in the air.
3rd down and 6. Dropping the football, Hayes. Pressure coming, throwing it away. Nearly completed it to Devontae Graves-Billups. At the same time, there was a linebacker in the area who could have picked it off and taken it in easily. Logan Kopp. It'll be a 4th down punting situation.
Yeah, Logan Kopp is going to be sick about this one probably all season long. He had a room service walk-in touchdown. Hayes has got to do a better job, make a better decision there. When you lose track of that football, just fall on it and take the loss of yards. Don't compound it, which he nearly did that time by throwing an interception there.
Good news for the Bulldogs. In these situations, they've got one of the top punters in all of FCS. James Platt back for another year. Just over 47 yards a punt last year. High snap, just gets it away under the rush, and it's going to work out well. Takes a Bulldogs bounce. And no return of significance by Jackson Williams. So each team has had the ball. Each defense has held so far. The #1 team in the land, North Dakota State, in the low country of South Carolina on Engles SoCon football. Dakota State there among his players in the middle of that huddle. All Tim Polasek did, and coming back for a 3rd time to the school in Fargo, was go win a national title in 14 of the 16 games last season. Interesting guy to talk to. One of the funny things I think he told us during the week when we visited with him was that he thinks it's cool he's going against Maurice Drayton, who was an assistant coach with the Packers. And Tim Polasek is a diehard Packers fan. Each Sunday they're on his TV as he's game planning for the following week.
Yeah, diehard Packers fan, but a guy that's not afraid to work. When he was a Division III coach just starting his career, he was also a lumberjack logger. So something very interesting about Coach Polasek. That tells you he's not afraid of the work.
Wonder if he grew his beard out full, to be fully in character. Peyton and the Bison back on offense. Penu breaking a tackle and breaking outside across midfield. One man to beat, finally wrapped up by Ravenel, but good work after initial contact by the second leading rusher a year ago and their go-to guy, Barika Penu.
One thing to understand about Barika Penu, 213, 215-ish pounds, physical. Right there, look, he just runs through a couple of tacklers, refuses to be brought down. Not the tallest guy, only about 5'10", 5'11", but he runs through tackles, he runs with physicality, and he seeks contact at the end of the play as well.
From the 39 of the Citadel. So once again, in Bulldogs territory, now a penalty marker is thrown, and it's going to back up the Bison, a legal procedure. Our crew today, led by Jake Rombach, a Southern Conference crew.
This is a defensive front for the Bulldogs. There is a lot of movement up front, particularly pre-snap. Offensively, you have to stay under control, not let that affect you. That time it did, and it cost them 5 yards on a false start.
Peyton, their new starter. They've had a run of really good quarterbacks. Guy they had last year headed on to the NFL. Little seam for DJ Scott, his first touch of the game. Got to be happy with this road trip. Gets him a little bit closer to his hometown of Oviedo, Florida. Came to them from Kennesaw State in the Atlanta area. Brings up 2nd down.
Yeah, that Kennesaw State program making the move up to FBS out of the FCS ranks. Struggled that first year, but I suspect that they'll have a lot of success right near that Atlanta area. Ton of talent in that region for them to pick from.
I've always found it remarkable how few Division I schools there are in the state of Georgia. And only about a half a dozen, but Kennesaw State hoping to reap that. 2nd down. And the Bulldogs able to respond. And not a whole lot happening. That time for Penu. Brings up 3rd down. So you got Georgia and Georgia Tech. Kennesaw State's now gone FBS. Georgia State's FBS. And Georgia Southern is also FBS. And you've got Mercer. For a while, Savannah State was an FCS program,
That's
like,
right.
of course, SoCon member Mercer. But you've got some other really good schools in the Peach State. Fort Valley State's produced some NFL guys over the years and so forth. But we digress. Another third down opportunity for Peyton and the Bison. They were denied on a previous series, had to punt. The lefty firing, completing. First catch of the day for Bryce Lance. He had 75 a year ago. First in the FCS in receiving touchdowns as well. Going to bring up a fourth down.
That's going to be an interesting matchup to watch throughout this game. Bryce Lance against Bradley Jones, number 7 in white. What you love about the matchup, if you're a Bulldogs fan, you don't have to be overly concerned about Bryce Lance beating you deep. They're going to have a lot of stop type of routes in front of Jones. Jones is a sub-10-4 100-meter guy. Bryce Lance is not running by him, so they're going to have to do a lot of different things in the route tree to try to pick on him throughout this game.
Second time in this opening quarter, North Dakota State will go for it on fourth down. Successful on 4th and inches on their opening drive before the Citadel forced into punt. Now we've got a timeout called, or is it a delay of game? It's a delay of game, so they're going to go ahead and back things up. Yeah, they took it intentionally. We didn't see a penalty marker tossed. So as a result, essentially, I can only suppose they were just trying to give Bickerton a little bit more room to try to pooch one in there and push the Citadel back.
Yeah, that's why almost if I'm the Citadel, I might have tried to decline that there, not give them that additional space. And then obviously the conversation now, standing at the 8-yard line, no, sir. Get to the 10, put your heels on the 10, and don't go backwards.
Braylon Noth back deep. Short kick as Bickerton wanted, but it will bounce into the end zone. So it'll go for a touchback. So after all that, the Bulldogs will have significantly better field position than North Dakota State intended. North. Scoreless in our opening quarter of play. The Cadets trying to get the home team a win on Engles SoCon football. Back in Charleston, South Carolina, here at a rainy Johnson Hagood Stadium on Engles SoCon football. Presented by Engles. Low prices. Love the savings. And with Reginald Walker Jr. and Dave Friedman, Pete Hannity with you. Scoreless so far. Been a chess match between the Citadel Bulldogs and the reigning national champs and number 1 North Dakota State Bison. Yes, the weather is a factor. And back down to the field and Dave Friedman. Dave?
Yeah, it's slippery, and you've seen the quarterbacks having to deal with that. You've seen a couple of drop passes. Guys are working on their footing. It takes a little time to get adjusted to this, and we're seeing the teams kind of feel it out in the early going. This is not the first adversity, though, the Citadel has had to get through this offseason. Guys, starting running back and starting quarterback going into camp, both out because of injuries. Maurice Drayton having to deal with a lot of things on the fly.
And Fletcher, no Corey Ibrahim. Fletcher was the backup a year ago, but he was going to be the starter. They hope he can come back at some point, and likewise for Ibrahim. So some fellows we talked about already, like Garrison Johnson, and others like Israel Benjamin, maybe Bo Harrington, maybe Bash Boyle, have to step up in this game. They're staying pretty conservative on offense. You can understand why this deep in their territory, facing a ball club that, as we pointed out, forced a bunch of turnovers a year ago, 25, and they were 3rd in the nation at plus 19 in margin.
Absolutely, and what you cannot afford to do, particularly early in a football game, in a matchup against a team as good, historically at least, as the Bison, you can't give them an easy opportunity to get going and get some confidence in their offense.
Second down and 8. Another handoff inside. Counting on Garrison Johnson to get some hard yards for them in there. And Johnson rushed for 308 yards. He did score 7 touchdowns, a lot of those close to the goal line a season ago. But Corey Ibrahim's the guy who really made their offense work when they were effective. And going from no wins 2 years ago to 5 in 2024.
Yeah, a great improvement, and I think a lot of that sometimes just comes down to getting an identity established early in the season and then living in that identity.
Bulldogs 0 for 1 on 3rd downs. Delayed handoff. It's going to be a first down and more. Israel Benjamin bursts up the middle across the 40, and the Bulldogs continue their march.
That's a nice play. It's just well designed there. A little draw play, a delay handoff, if you will. And there's a lot of space because look at the defensive line. They move to the outside, create gaps right up the middle. Big hole right up the middle, right? Coming right into your living room. The umpire, you better get out of the way because it's coming right at you. Big time first down run right there.
His head coach says that Benjamin plays for the love of the game. What an interesting college journey. Began at Harvard, has also included Texas A&M. Now he's here to get his MBA and keep playing ball. Another handoff. Boy, Citadel is not going to go too deep into the playbook, at least not here in the early going. They want to try to control the pace. They want to keep the clock moving. And let's face it, they do not want Peyton and the North Dakota State offense to have a whole lot of time on the field.
Absolutely. And I think the other piece of it is, and it's something we talked about earlier, if you have success on first and second down running the football, now you can still incorporate the running game on third down because you're in some shorter yardage situations. You don't want to play behind the chains and force Quentin Hayes to beat this team with his arm.
After the 14-yard run by Benjamin, brings up a second down and 8, and they stay inside. Benjamin, originally from Phoenix, so boy, guy has really seen the country from Phoenix to the Boston area, then out to College Station, Texas, now here in Charleston.
So let's do some math. He goes to Harvard for undergrad, and he's going to get an MBA from the Citadel.
I think he's got a job waiting for him after football.
I don't know what that check's going to look like, but the first one's going to be real good.
Yeah, there you go. And Garrison Johnson also working toward his MBA. Third down once again. And now whistles. Looked like there was some confusion before the snap. Not sure if Maurice Drayton wanted to call a timeout. They were going to jet sweep with Graves Billups.
I think he tried to call it. I think the headlinesman thought he was calling timeout. Then there was a little bit of no. So I'm not sure if it was he said timeout or if he said hold on or what the verbiage was. But the official acknowledged it and then decided that it wasn't a called timeout. So now we'll just replay third down here.
Well, they converted on third down moments ago, and that burst up the middle by Benjamin. Third down and 6. Pressure in the pocket. Helmet off the quarterback, and Hayes goes down. North Dakota State got after the quarterback a bunch of season ago. They led the Valley with 33 sacks. It'll bring up fourth down.
And this is a little bit of, that was an adjustment there on third down. We talked about the previous third down where the two inside defensive linemen worked to the outside. That time they did a better job working to the middle and making sure there was no space up inside, shut down that running play up the middle.
Toby Anene leading the surge with the sack. Not sure who knocked off the helmet of Hayes. Platt, who did not punt in high school in the Aiken area, has turned into an all-SoCon performer here, and what a punt it is. Hitting beyond the 20, taking a Citadel bounce. North Dakota State goes back to work on offense. 2:31 to go opening quarter. Scoreless here in Charleston.
No score late first quarter in Charleston, and what a transformation Maurice Drayton has had at the Citadel. First year, 0-11, 10 points a game scored, gave up 35 a contest, minus 12 turnover margin. Year 2, 5-7, scored 21.5 points a game, gave up just a touch more than that, an even turnover margin. In year 1, guys, Maurice Drayton told us he had 29 guys who did not start or did not play on their high school teams. He had to teach. It was education. It was about learning. In year 2, he added recruiting, and now it's retention and development. As for recruiting, the philosophy, it's very, very simple. The non-negotiable, toughness. You have to see that. And then one other element, whether it be speed or football IQ or a winning mentality or strength, but you have to be tough to play for Mo Drayton.
One of the things that they've improved in vastly, secondary coverage, but that time Raja Nelson able to get behind the defense. Big gain out across the 41-yard line. Thanks, Dave. North Dakota State held in check so far. Pennu misdirects, gets out close to midfield. It'll bring up second down.
Good vision there by Pennu. And then getting back to Dave's point about Coach Drayton, there's a phrase where he's from. He's from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, Berkeley High School. They got a phrase. It's called, "I'm just a kid from Moncks Corner." But he's about the work. He's about the grind. And he's going to teach these guys. His focus here is bring back the mindset of winning championships at a place that hasn't seen them in a while. Think about this. 3 of the 4 SoCon championships in this program's history, part of this coaching staff was on.
Penu, good open field tackle by Ravenel to save a bigger game.
And again, getting back to that point, that's what he's trying to build here. He's trying to create that mindset, that focus. And if you watch what this program has become just in the last 20 months or so, you can see that development and that growth coming along. And you see again here, here's Penu trying to run against this defense. They do a nice job coming downhill. I love this secondary. They are physical in the running game as well.
Bradley Jones, the corner who made that stop and saved big yards, but 1st and 10 for North Dakota State. And the staff that Maurice Drayton has put together, really, really solid. A lot of experience guys who've been at different levels of football.
And guys who understand, right, what it is to be at the Citadel. It's a different environment than a lot of academic places, but they understand what this place is and, most importantly, what it can be from a football standpoint.
Their graduate program has really helped their athletic program, and you can come and get a really good graduate degree here. And so a lot of athletes have been able to take advantage of that.
And oh, by the way, Charleston, South Carolina,
not
a bad place.
You throw a dart, you're going to hit a good restaurant.
That's it.
2nd down and 6. Once again, Bison in Citadel territory. Here's the running ability of Peyton inside the 30. So tough to bring down. Finally caught from behind by McDaniel, but not before he gets in the red zone.
And that's where Cole Peyton is the most comfortable, tucking that football under that left arm and making a play with his feet. Big time run that time, works his way down the left sideline, gets his team down inside the red zone. Nothing score, but an opportunity for the Bison heading into the second quarter.
Not only is North Dakota State the #1 team in the land and reigning national champs, but they have been dominant. Yeah, Nat Dakota. 10 titles over the past decade and a half on the FCS level. They went Division I about 20 years ago, and boy, it has fit them quite well. They get a lot of kids out of Minnesota, some from Nebraska and other parts of the country. North Dakota State has become a brand name in FCS football. Many an NFL draft pick. Great success for the school located in Fargo, North Dakota. They play in a dome that holds about 20,000. Right now, you wouldn't need a dome. The rain's letting up as we start the second quarter, and Peyton and the Bison on the march. Handing it off, looking for room is Scott, and it'll bring up 2nd down.
Back to that point you made about the national championships, and that game has been played mostly in Frisco, Texas the last few years. I was down there recently. Folks call that Fargo South now. They're used to going down there. They start booking their tickets in March, and the season hasn't even started yet.
So they're playing the game in Nashville this year. Next week, North Dakota State continues its tour of the South. They're playing at Tennessee State in Nashville, and I would suppose their great fan base that travels well will maybe check out a hotel to stay at potentially later this year. Not going to happen on the attempt to rush to the left. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Could be a lot of green and gold along Broadway there in Nashville. Certainly a tourist destination. I think the folks from Fargo will really enjoy themselves in the Music City.
Got to get there first, and this is just the first chapter. But as you see, Peyton, who had that big run to get him in the red zone, finding the turf a little bit slippery. So another 3rd down for North Dakota State.
Yeah, just a really nice job by this defense. Didn't over-pursue, and then they wall up. That's an excellent job setting the edge and keeping him from getting out to the outside. And then the pursuit comes in and closes it out.
0 for 3 on 3rd downs. Pressure. Firing. Incomplete. Intended for Nelson. Big-time hit administered by Cale Williams. Cale Williams out of Canton, Georgia, the strong safety stepping up big.
This play by Williams, I don't think people realize how good of a play this is. Watch Williams. You'll see him on the left-hand part of your screen. He falls down. He's on his way getting back up and makes this hit. He slipped as he got ready to make a break on the football, had to get back up and make that play.
31-yard try. Ozick, just 3 of 5 a year ago in his first attempt this season, up and good. North Dakota State strikes first. Citadel, though, a modicum, if you will, of momentum there as the Citadel Bulldogs able to keep North Dakota State out of the end zone.
Yeah, that's a big stop right there for the Bulldogs, able to keep them out of the end zone. You were talking about basically a first and goal situation inside the 15-yard line for the Bison offense that has historically been really, really good, particularly in the red zone. They were 93% in the red zone last season, 70 of 75. Now, 12 of those were field goals, but you're talking about 58 of the 75 times in the red zone they got in the end zone. That time the Bulldogs able to keep them out. Big time stop right there.
Think about that, though. You get inside the opponent's 20, 75 times roughly, and you score 6 points in, what, 2/3, almost 3/4 of the time? Scoring 6.
And that's why and how you win championships. You have to finish. Coaches talk a lot about the word finish. Finish plays, finish drives, finish games. If you can finish drives, that usually means you're putting points on the board.
Probably not to attempt anything. I would think Maurice Drayton said, if nothing else, we're going to try to not turn the football over. Let's not hand the ball to one of the most prolific offenses in the country. So a second quarterback on the field for the Citadel Bulldogs in this game. He's got the starter. Appearances a year ago, so he was only redshirt. That doesn't matter. Stubborn tie in the South State capital. Got only one pass attempt and deflected to them. It goes in the hands of the other team. That's another round so far. Early on. Nowhere is Benjamin. Rushing wise, Bulldogs. That carry on 8 attempts, and 14 of them came on the Benjamin sprint for a first down.
And this offense will look a little bit different from a passing standpoint. Kobe Tompkins, a lefty, so the spin on the football a little bit different. Might see some more movement of the quarterback to the left side as well. He's got a lot of talent. They've just got to get him untracked and get his confidence going.
Benjamin lost 2. Here's Tompkins running that option. And we'll bring up third down. Go back to what we talked about during the week. State. Grant Olson pointing out. He's really impressed with how the Citadel offensive staff has worked option principles into what looks like a modern spread.
Well, and that's very important, right? To keep some of those principles, give your quarterbacks and your backs some outs. But at the same time, the key there is also, being able to mix those things in and create that confusion for defensive coordinators to figure out what they need to prepare for.
Third down, Bulldogs in the game, 1 out of 3. 3rd and 7, first series for Tompkins, the redshirt freshman. The lefty trying to extend the play. And we'll see the punting unit. Pursuing him, Logan Kopp. Opening game here, some more football ahead next weekend. In just a few weeks, he's got a really big day. During their open week, he's getting married right in the middle of the season. And a guy who returns off of 73 stops a year ago to lead them will have some other responsibilities instead of just getting ready for opposing offenses in the very near future.
He's out of St. Louis, Lindbergh High School. Can you imagine the caravan from St. Louis up to Fargo? Going to be interesting to see the traffic that you're going to see there, and then all the Bison fans that are going to want to be a part of that one.
Platt's punt going to be returned. Williams dangerous. Had both a punt and a kickoff return for a TD a year ago, but he gets hit hard and taken down. Back to work goes North Dakota State. Logan Kopp and the defense of the Bison have kept the Citadel in check. Now their offense will go back to work. Citadel Bulldogs trying to pull off what would be a major upset on Engles SoCon football. Presented by Engles. Low prices, love the savings. With Reginald Walker Jr. and Dave Friedman, Pete Hannity with you here in Charleston. The Cadets are out in force. The rain has actually subsided. Cole Payton and North Dakota State getting ready to go back on the field. He's trying to continue an important legacy with the Bison, and back down to Dave with more. Dave?
Yeah, it's remarkable, Pete, the quarterbacks that have been at North Dakota State. The last 4 all going to the NFL. Carson Wentz, 5 years at NDSU, started 2 of them. He won 5 national championships, and Easton Stick and Trey Lance, of course, Lance's brother is on the team, and the passing conditions are getting better. The rain is just about stopped. There is a little bit of a breeze down here, but it's pretty comfortable for football.
Penalty on the punt return. Payton off the fake handoff as they start from their own 10-yard line. That backed him up. As we went to break, they assessed the penalty, and it'll bring up second down.
Yeah, backed up in their own end. Cole Payton not really comfortable throwing the football yet, hasn't gotten settled in. I suspect we're going to see a heavy dose of the run here. I would think they're going to look to go quarterback run here, get to the outside on this 2nd and long, and see if Payton can make something happen out to his left.
Second down and 8. Payton so far in the game, 5 carries, looking to throw. In the flat, man on the move. And he's got a first down connection. Ball popped out late, but after the whistle. Mekhi Collins, 16 grabs a year ago. They've got him and Chris Harris, both guys 6'3", 6'4", both big targets, and look for them over the middle of this year.
This is a really nice read here by Cole Payton. Watch him here. He's looking for Lance to the right, nothing there. But this throw back to the left-hand side, there's a defender sitting right in the pocket, right to the right-hand side of your screen. He throws it right behind his ear for the completion. Well done by Payton.
1st and 10. Scott hit hard by Williams, but not before he gets out close to the 40-yard line. It'll be 2nd and short, and there is an injured Bison.
That might be Payton.
For a second, I thought it was. I just can't tell.
Nope, not Payton.
No, he's still up. Yeah, he's still standing. So
89, not 9, 89.
So they're attending to Finn Diggins, one of their backup tight ends. We'll take a timeout here in Charleston. 2nd quarter, 3-0. Bison over the Bulldogs on Engles SoCon Football. Continuing the 2nd quarter, North Dakota State up 3-0. This gentleman is the new athletic director at the Citadel, Art Chase. Now, a point of clarity, he and I have known each other for a really long time, but neither of us is that old. But first off, what an interesting first football opponent for you to have during your tenure to start the season, the electricity of a FBS caliber team.
Absolutely. With North Dakota State coming to Charleston, we couldn't have been more excited. Obviously, this arrangement was secured far before I got here in the world of college football scheduling. But tremendous folks out at North Dakota State, and we're excited that they're here. And obviously, if you want to compete against the best, why not start with the premier college football program in the country, that is the Bison.
Boy, look at Pennu push the pile. And he's got the first down. And you've got a fabulous institution here. You were at Duke for many years. Private school, the Citadel being a state school. But, again, being a military school, maybe you kind of know what it's like to maybe have to do things a little bit differently than your basic, state U.
Absolutely. Duke University and the Citadel do have a lot of similarities because of the uniqueness. Now, granted, those are different uniquenesses at those two institutions, but certainly we can bring a lot of what we implemented at Duke to the Citadel, and it's been great to be back and get that done.
Play action, Payton looking deep. Incomplete. Some contact. I think Williams might have had an argument that he got bumped by the intended receiver.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I was getting ready to say Bryce Lance may have gotten away with a little bit of offensive pass interference. I know the man to my left may have wanted that call a little more than obviously the folks in Bison green and gold there. But you see it right here. There's contact there. Yep. And I think if you're Coach Drayton, you're asking for that particular call. But I want to get back to what you're building and looking to build here at the Citadel. As you sort of have taken over and you've been here for a while now, obviously different priorities at different places. What are some of the things that you've noticed from an athletic department standpoint that you are sort of taking on as sort of articles A1 and A2?
Yeah, for us, we believe that culture wins. And so to instill the principles of a championship culture, that's been first and foremost right out of the gate. And for us, culture is attitude, behavior, and values. And if you set your mind to focus on those three variables in the equation, it just gives you a chance to create that championship culture. And we've been doing it across the board now for 6 months in every silo. And what I mean by silo is every sport. And obviously with Coach Drayton in football, that's a big part of the equation. And he and I, we've got a 30-year relationship because I was here when he was playing on this very same field. And in fact, his first year in coaching was '99. I was still here before we left to go to Duke. And so that's where it starts for us, is trying to build that championship culture.
As you see Peyton make this play here, makes the run, he's able to move the chains. I want to continue on that point because you've got a guy like Coach Drayton. You mentioned that he went to school here. He's from not very far, Moncks Corner. What does it mean to have not only someone that knows this university, but also someone that knows this region and the culture that is a part of it to help sell this university to young athletes that are looking for a place to get their academics to the next level?
Absolutely. Coach Drayton is the right person for the Citadel to hold the head football coach title. There's no doubt in my mind. The right coach is not wandering around outside the gates. It's not in another institution right now. It's not in professional football. The right person is Maurice Drayton, and that's what's been so fun to get back and reconnect with him. We've had great, lengthy conversations about the program, his aspirations and goals, his visions, and we are in perfect alignment to try and make all that happen.
Scott gets another first down. Peyton converted the first third down of the game for North Dakota State in 5 tries as they continue on the march. When an athletic director takes over, they often come with an architect on speed dial and maybe have some building ideas. Are there some things, whether it's here at Johnson Hagood Stadium, over at the field house or so forth, that maybe would be at the top of the priority list?
Absolutely, always. And right now we're still in that evaluation and assessment phase. We have plans on the east side or the visitor side here at Johnson Hagood Stadium already in place, and we're on schedule to have that done before the start of next season. But we're going to take a good look at everything. And you mentioned facilities, and that is certainly a very key component to the overall infrastructure of an athletic department. But we're analyzing every different thing. And I had to tell the coaches and the staff, I was like, look, as we go through this process, there will be changes. Obviously we're not going to turn white into black or black into white or red into blue or anything like that. But, we're going to put our little spin on this as we try and build that championship culture and then everything that trickles down from there.
Bulldogs able to stretch out the play. It looked like Jamazon Roberts was going to make the stop, but still slippery despite the fact the rain has let up. Melvin Ravenel, the nice tackle. I'll tell you, as a penalty marker flies, and this is going to back up North Dakota State, the half of the stadium we're in, this is as nice of a press box, I think, as you'll find at this level in the country, and would challenge many FBS programs. And you've got a beautiful one side here. For many years, there was talk about maybe getting a bowl game here or that kind of thing. And I think if you can complete the rest of the stadium, as we see the penalty, that's probably in mind. And again, at this level, and I know Reg can speak to this too, NIL probably works differently, but at this level, you're looking for revenue streams for a lot of different reasons.
Absolutely, and we have to take advantage of those facilities and bring in events for our entire community. Obviously, there's revenue portion to that, but it's also being a good partner within our community.
He's not necessarily the fastest guy on the field, but boy, can Cole Peyton find the opening, take advantage of it. Jones saving the touchdown, but it's 1st and goal.
That might have been about a 75-yard run to get about 15 yards. Went all the way to the left, and he came all the way back to the right. I do want to, as we take a look at this, watch him here. Good vision, working to the left now, comes all the way back to the right. The one thing I would tell the young man, get the ball in the outside arm, get it in the right hand, and don't turn the football over. Got to be a little bit smarter with the ball handling there. But the one thing I ask, as you make changes potentially to the visitor side, from a broadcast standpoint, let's keep the view of the bridge. I like that.
Well, it's all about the broadcasters as North Dakota State punches one in there from close range.
Pennu, who had 7 rushing touchdowns a year ago, gets to the end zone for the first time this season. Bison able to build on the lead, and they've got a chance to go up 10-0 here. Well, Art, it is a wonderful place, obviously. The city is amazing, and we should point out many years at Duke, but before that you were here. You also worked elsewhere in the state of South Carolina. I think it's very helpful. You have knowledge on the ground of how things operate at this school, plus also you know other parts of this state because the Citadel is so vital. It's got great alumni bases all over the Palmetto State, and certainly the case here. Art Chase, athletic director at the Citadel. Thanks so much for coming by. Not going as he and the Bulldogs would like so far as the #1 team in the land builds a 10-0 lead on Engles SoCon football.
Began September 5th at Arkansas. An unlikely upset. Everett said led the Dogs to victory.
North Dakota State has taken a 10-0 lead over the Citadel with about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. And you notice the Citadel wearing the Carolina blue helmets, which they've dubbed the infantry blue helmets. They've been wearing these since 1952, but really on and off. They wore them a lot in the mid-60s. They wore them between 1977 and 2002, and then briefly in the early 2000s. For the last 14 years, they've worn white helmets. But Maurice Drayton grew up in this area and played here. He played in the Carolina blue helmet. He watched them have great success in that infantry blue, and he said, I want that. That's part of our program's success. That's part of our history, and they're going to wear them for the foreseeable future.
So they're wearing them today against North Dakota State, trying to hang in there, trailing 10-0 here as we're closing in on 5 minutes to go before the half. Scoring drive to get into the end zone by the Bison, keyed by that run by Peyton. So an Ozick field goal and the Pennu touchdown here in the second quarter for the 10-0 advantage. The Bulldogs, a 5th SoCon team that the Bison have faced on the gridiron, and their 3rd SoCon foe going back to early last season. They came down to Johnson City. ETSU gave them all they could handle before they escaped Green Stadium with a narrow win. Then in the playoffs, they took on the Mercer Bears. They've also faced Furman, Wofford, and Sanford. Actually, it's the 6th opponent they played. 5 SoCon teams now. The Citadel is the 6th Southern Conference foe that they have faced in football since jumping up to Division I. Another series for Tompkins, and yet again a surge by that strong front by the Bison.
And you mentioned that ETSU game last season. You know they had success at ETSU and was considered a pretty good football team because their head coach at the time, Trey Lamb, now at Tulsa. So he ended up, somebody said, oh, that guy's really good. We're going to grab him. So there's that movement that you see. People understand you win games against SoCon football teams, you're accomplishing something, and that's why a lot of these coaches go on to different jobs as well.
Loss of 5 on the play, 2nd and 15. That was a 90-yard scoring drive, by the way, by North Dakota State. In the flat, pass complete. They'll rotate tight ends. That's Wood Hobgood. Came down from the Purple Raiders of Mount Union College in Ohio. And first completion of the game for the Citadel, just their 2nd attempt.
I like what they did there with Kobe Tompkins. They kind of moved him to the left with run action to the right-hand side, cleared out the space, made it an easy sight line for him to make an easy completion and pick up some yardage to set up a more manageable 3rd down.
Quentin Hayes got the start. Tompkins has been on for the past couple of series, looking at a 3rd down and 6. Time in the pocket for the lefty, trying to escape, and he won't. Caught from behind and taken down. North Dakota State, they can get you in a lot of ways, and that time Jack Giuliano able to take him down. He's from Rye, New York. Came to them from the University of Albany.
And you see Tompkins there clap his hands. The reason he's clapping his hands, it's not because of the result. He's upset with himself. He knows he's got to get out of there quicker. Right here, 1, 2, 3. You got to go now. And he waits a half second too long, and that's what creates the situation where he ends up getting taken down in the backfield. He's got to get out of there faster.
Booming punt by Platt. Williams sees it go out of bounds as he made the grab. So once again, pinning them inside of their 20. Bulldogs will try to get the defense to stop them back deep in their own territory.
A critical 3:33 here. 3 minutes, 33 seconds to go. Trailing 10-0. If you're the Bulldogs, you have to find a way to get a stop here, get the football back, maybe even get a chance to score. And if you're the Bison, your mindset is we need to get 7 if you count the extra point, and leave no time for this Bulldogs offense to get the football back and take that kind of momentum into the locker room at halftime.
Saw Platt happy with that last effort. All SoCon performer. Back to the ground game. Back to Penu. Topples over out close to the 25. It'll be second and short.
Number 8, Marika Pino. Tackled by 13, Cale Williams. Second down.
So it'll bring up second down.
On the play, second and 2. NDSU with the football at their own 24-yard line.
NDSU able to get that touchdown in their last drive when they were backed up to their own 10-yard line. But we saw the good mix. And again, the running of their quarterback, Peyton, such a dangerous weapon. Guy who came to them from Omaha, Nebraska. They've been able to go a couple of states south to get some talent. Penalty flag flying in for illegal procedure, and that'll back it up, make it second a little bit longer.
Yeah, this offense, while it's made some plays today, this Bison offense has been a little bit inconsistent, been choppy, some pre-snap penalties, those types of things. Again, early season, those things tend to happen. But I guarantee you Coach Polasek is going to be talking about getting those types of things cleaned up, whether it's after the game today or throughout the season, if they want to have the type of success they've had historically, especially over the last 15 years or so.
Long road trip to open the season for the reigning national champs. Screen, Scott, room. First down and more. Out close to the 40-yard line. Boy, what a nice weapon the Kennesaw State transfers out of the backfield to complement their starter Penu. And once again, the chains moving for the Bison.
DJ Scott's really, really explosive. They like his hands out of the backfield as well. See him just work out to the right side of your screen. Now he's got a blocker, and it's just speed down the sideline. Cale Williams able to make that stop to get him out of bounds. But I like the patience. Cole Payton, that's the type of throw that can get his confidence going as well.
Their top rusher a year ago, Marty Brown, is now at Miami as a grad. He went for over 1,100 yards in their balanced attack. First down run. Clock under 2 minutes to go before the half, so we'll get a timeout, and second down will be upcoming for North Dakota State. Bison in SoCon country for a second straight year in the regular season. They have a 10-0 lead on the Citadel here in Charleston on Engles SoCon football. With the ball pushing toward midfield, up 10-0, just under 2 to play before the half. So, Reg, the obvious question, how important is it for the Citadel to go into halftime down 10-0 as opposed to if it were 17-0?
Absolutely. You got to find a way. You don't want to be 3 scores down with the inexperience you have at the quarterback position. You're talking about an offense that between 2 quarterbacks has attempted 2 passes in this first half. The last thing you want to do is be down 3 scores and then be forced to try to pass your way back into this football game to start this third quarter. So you have to find a way to get a stop here. Most importantly, if you can get a turnover, that might help even more.
250-plus yards of total offense for Peyton and the Bison, throwing near side, connecting. Just a simple down and out to Chris Harris. Gets big yards, sets him up in Citadel territory inside the 35.
This is all about protection right here. This is a long developing route, and Cole Payton does an excellent job standing in the pocket, waiting for it to open up, and then making a nice accurate throw down to the right-hand side. This is really well executed, and it started with the offensive line and the protection, something that's been very consistent in this program over the last decade plus.
Good call by their first-year offensive coordinator, Dan Larson, to get a chunk play and set him up at least to be inside of Ozik's range for a field goal with 1:50 to go. Peyton in and out of the hands. Boy, Lance Usually much more sure-handed than that.
Yeah, he let it get into his body. He knows better. See, that's why he's patting his chest. He knows he's supposed to catch this football with his hands. Watch how it gets in on his chest. Cole Payton, excellent job. Nice throw right in the pocket. He lets it get to his body, and that's why that ball's incomplete. He acknowledges it right away. That's a really, really well-thrown football. Lance has got to make that play.
Cole Payton and North Dakota State march down the field 90 yards and 10 plays on their previous drive to build a 10-0 lead. All the scoring has been in the second quarter. Payton, second down and 10, going deep. Caught. Touchdown. Pretty connection. And North Dakota State adds on Raja Nelson, 3 touchdowns a year ago, and that's his first here in 25.
It's just a slot fade, Pete. This is well executed. I love the call here. They go slot fade, and they catch Nolan Jones. He's unable to get over the top. But what I love the most about this play, watch Cole Payton. Watch the late hands of Nelson. See how late he is to get his hands up so that the defensive back can't play through his hands. He's very late getting his hands out there, and the defensive back never finds the football, and he's able to bring that in. That's well executed, but it's good understanding of reading the defensive back's eyes by the receiver, and Nelson makes a nice catch, and all of a sudden, this is a 17-0 football game.
Payton as the backup to Cam Miller last year, just 2 touchdown tosses. Well, his first here in 2025. Dave Friedman down at the sidelines. I know you've noticed that since the rain went away, as would be the case, I would think, with most quarterbacks, the North Dakota State signal caller seems to have settled in a little bit.
Win big, not just today, but most of the season. And you're following 4 guys that have gone to the NFL. And early on, Payton looked tentative. He looked a little bit nervous. But was it the weather that was playing havoc on him? On that drive, he threw the ball with incredible confidence. And maybe that part of that is just getting the butterflies out. But, Reg, maybe part of it is it's dry now.
Dave, I think you're absolutely right. That's certainly a factor. As we see the touchback here on the kickoff, certainly a factor. The weather has changed, but also, Dave, I think it started to change to your point. As the rain started to subside, they got him going on a couple of big runs. He took a couple of hits. Sometimes guys that big, that physical, they need to take a couple of hits to get into the game, and then all of a sudden, like I mentioned, as you said, Dave, it stopped raining, and now his grip on the football is a little cleaner, feels more comfortable, and now this offense is starting to make some more plays.
North Dakota State, well over 300 yards of offense. The Citadel, in 15 plays, just 26 yards. The Bulldogs trying to make something happen here. Tompkins back out there, quarterback draw. We saw him get sacked when he didn't get out of the pocket soon enough. That was a designed run play, but you could tell there was no hesitation whatsoever.
And I think they've got to do more of the quick hitting type of things, whether it's quarterback run quickly instead of more draw plays. I think you got to get some more quick hitting things going. This is a really good defensive front that does a great job of holding their gaps. Sometimes you got to just get going before those guys even figure out what's happening.
A minute and change before the half. Bulldogs will get the ball to start the second half, keeping it on the ground, pushing ahead and getting the first down. We've seen the power running game work, and that'll stop the clock after the carry by Johnson.
Tackled by 64, Jackson Dudenheffer.
Bulldogs on the ground so far. 15 carries, and they're closing in on 35 yards.
On the hurry up, the carry for number 20.
Good tempo on this drive as well. I think that's helping us also as they try to do something here late quarter clock here. Now they slow down just a little bit to make sure they get the right call on second down here.
Johnson came to them actually as a grad walk-on last year after playing at Northwestern State, working on his MBA in his second season. Second down, Tompkins looking to throw. The pocket never developed, and he is sacked. Big surge from a couple of directions by that massive front. Keenan Wilson getting in there on the sack.
And Coach Polasek and the Bison take a timeout there. They're going to, at the very least, force Coach Drayton and the Bulldogs to punt the football here. I think that's very interesting. You'll see it again here. Just nothing ever able to develop. Timing off a little bit there as well. Saul Diaz, the tight end, looked like he was trying to come across the formation and be the edge protection guy there. Never got all the way there. That play was doomed from the snap.
Kelton McCaslin off the edge for North Dakota State, also forcing the action. Last season, a defense that had 33 sacks. They have been disruptive so far and limiting the Citadel to less than 50 yards of total offense in this opening half.
After the timeout, 3rd and 9 from the 37.
2 timeouts remain for the Bison, so they'll call one quickly here with 15 seconds to go if they get a quick stop. 3rd down, Bulldogs trying to convert, trying to get outside. Benjamin, he'll be stopped shy. Tim Polasek will again call a timeout with 7 seconds remaining, and we're about to see what they can do in terms of going after Platt, the punter.
But here's what's interesting, because we again, let's clarify here. We know how good this Bison program has been. But if there's one place you might want to be careful, in particular when you're playing the Citadel and Coach Drayton, special teams. There's a lot known about what this Citadel football team did from a special team standpoint last season. 8 block kicks, amongst the best in the nation in all of those units on the special team side of things. Now all of a sudden a situation with the force to punt into the half. To your point, the Bison likely going to come after it here, but what might Coach Drayton have up his sleeve, and can they get something? What happens if they all of a sudden get a big play, maybe get a score because they're attacking the punter here, and all of a sudden the momentum goes the other way? Have to be very careful if you're the Bison.
Part of their program philosophy, expect 5 to 7 big moments in a game. This could be one of those. Platt, lefty punter, and a guy who knows how to coach special teams, the head coach of the Citadel, Maurice Drayton, wanted to get an assessment, and now he uses a timeout.
And what I thought was interesting, he went all the way down to the 20-yard line behind his punting unit so he could see exactly what the alignment was for his group and how the other team, in terms of North Dakota State, had lined up to handle it. Got an assessment. Now he can make his read and explain to his guys what he wants executed. That's a good decision right there, and I think a really good use of a timeout.
North Dakota State entered the Century as a Division II program, but made the jump to Division I. Out in their neck of the woods, they and South Dakota State made the jump before the University of North Dakota and the University of South Dakota. I find that interesting. Those other schools eventually joined the first two in Division I. Platt, pressure comes, and he gets it away. Remember, earlier in the game, they almost blocked it. That takes a couple of seconds off the clock as he basically kicked a line drive out of bounds to his right into the North Dakota State bench. 5 seconds to go.
About 5 seconds left in the first half.
Just to get the ball away, just previously in the opening quarter when they came after him, he was able to kick a low line drive and got a great bounce. That time, the ball sailed right out of bounds, and the spot will be at the 45-yard line.
A little bit of a high snap that time by the long snapper, Tommy DiLiegro, and you see he has to go up and get it. So then it's just a matter of getting it off. He didn't have the opportunity to go through his standard routine there as Coach Drayton takes a timeout. Doesn't want to give up anything big here, but the snap there was a factor because you get a high snap, the timing's off, the rush has a little bit more time to get there, and it nearly cost him.
Kind of has the feel of a basketball lay-task situation where you're trying to get an assessment of a defensive look, and in this case, Maurice Drayton calling a timeout to see what was coming in terms of the potential punt block, and now in this situation wants to see what they do in terms of their formation offensively.
And early in the season, Pete, these are the moments, right? You can work on as much situational football as you want in fall camp, but you can't account for every single situation. That's why you see coaches, particularly early in the season, use timeouts in situations like this and get guys on the same page. And I think what's most interesting right here, look back there at the safety spot. You've got one of the biggest players you will ever see in Adam Comer, a 6'9" guy playing safety.
So they go underneath. Penu with room caught from behind. Taken down by Jamazon Roberts. Comer was back there at 6'9" on a football field in college for the first time. He came over from the College of Charleston, where, of course, they don't play football. He played hoops. Dave Friedman on the field as we arrive at halftime, visiting with the head coach of the Dogs. Dave?
What was the difference between the first quarter and the second?
Well, they settled in, and we didn't settle in with them. So we have to be able to match good teams' tempo. And I'm not talking about the speed of the game, but I'm just talking about the physicality, the pace of the game, things of that nature. So we have to match their tempo. And we made some mistakes, had a blown coverage there that hurt us as well. And we got to get off the field in third down. That's the main thing. So we're going to get in this locker room. We're going to make some adjustments and get after it.
What can you do on offense?
Yeah, offensively, we in the quarterback run game, we have to do a better job in that. When it comes time to pass protect, obviously we have to be able to protect versus their four-man front. They're not plussing us. They're not adding guys. So we got to be able to protect.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Maurice Drayton turned things around big time in year number 2 last season. He's hoping to hang in there against the #1 team in the land. Halftime here in Charleston, North Dakota State, a 17-0 lead on the Citadel Bulldogs on Engles SoCon football.
I'm Chris Bainbridge, inviting you to take a ride with me. This is an amazing place to find adventure in all shapes and sizes. Engles has sent me on a mission to bring you the very best of what our beautiful home has to offer. Food, fun, nature, music, and more. All affordable and all out of the ordinary. This is the Engles Open Road. Today, we're making a return to a historical destination that we first visited 3 years ago. Why, you may ask? Well, there are some big changes happening here at this little museum. And today, we're here to find out what's new as we explore our past at the Veterans History Museum of the Carolinas. Located in the heart of one of my favorite mountain towns, Brevard, North Carolina, the Veterans History Museum of the Carolinas has been welcoming and educating visitors for nearly a decade. The mission? To honor the men and women from North and South Carolina who served in our armed forces. One of the fascinating exhibits here has been recently updated to tell the story of what's come to be known as the 6888. Recently featured in the motion picture of the same name, here we learn the story of the Central Postal Directory Battalion, an all-black female unit in the Women's Army Corps, or WAC, during World War II. Another large addition comes in the form of their recent partnership with Patriots Point Naval Museum in Charleston, South Carolina. It's making a big impact, literally. Out front, we find the giant submarine anchor, and inside, we find a locker set and 3 bunk beds from the USS Yorktown. Not to be outdone by the Navy, Air Force and Army Air Corps veterans now have their own exhibit room, featuring parts from various aircraft, including oxygen bottles from a B-17, flight helmets, and flight suits. And for a look at the military in miniature, the model room is really fun to explore. Here you can find dozens of models of various combat craft down through the decades, including tanks, aircraft, and dioramas. And for the kiddos that come along, there is a selfie station here where you can dress up in a variety of uniforms for that special photo souvenir. Every room here at the museum has something new to showcase. So, if you've been here before, it's time to come back. And if you've never visited, what are you waiting for? The Veterans History Museum of the Carolinas has something for everyone. To learn more and plan your visit, go to openroadshow.com. Your weekend is waiting on the Engles Open Road.
Meeting on the gridiron between the Citadel and North Dakota State, the #1 team in the land, up 17-0 as halftime continues here in Charleston. Welcome back in to Johnson Hagood Stadium, where the Citadel Bulldogs will try to rally in the second half. North Dakota State, Reginald, making the impact big time in the second quarter. All their points scored, and they figured something out.
Yeah, they did. Their offensive line, I thought, did a better job getting settled in. And then they were able to make a couple of plays in the passing game. Now, all of a sudden, you have a Bulldogs defense that's trying to figure out what's coming. And I think that was the big key, is they were able to start to get this defense a little bit off balance, maybe start guessing a little bit was one of those factors. And then Cole Payton at the quarterback position, he settled in. He was able to make some big runs, which I think helped get him into the football game a little bit. And then all of a sudden, this offense was starting to make plays in the run game and in the passing game.
And his passing did look better after the running did get him in the flow. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the opening half. Reggie, North Dakota State, one of those teams you can say just trust their stuff, and they can get you a lot of ways. It may not be flashy, but before you know it, they're making big plays like Pennu on that run.
Well, and that's part of it, right, is the physicality. Coach Polasek will tell you their goal is always to be the most physical. Be physical and be dominant at the point of attack. Then all of a sudden the pieces start to come together. But this was a Bulldogs defense, in my opinion, a really solid first half, really. You look at the scoreboard, there's questions, but they played a solid first half, gave up some plays, but they were on the field an awfully long time.
A North Dakota State team held scoreless in the opening quarter, but eventually their running quarterback, now the starter, doing his thing. He ended up with 8 carries for 76 yards, had a big run as part of their first touchdown scoring drive, completed eventually a 90-yard march down the field to get into the end zone, but the Citadel Bulldogs and Cale Williams and crew able to hold him in check, limiting them to a field goal early on in the second quarter. That was followed by a touchdown run and a TD pass on the connection from Payton, making that touchdown toss to Raja Nelson and giving us our 17-0 score at the break. Let's take a look at the numbers from the first half and our first half stats. And again, a dominant performance as far as the total yards go. North Dakota State outgaining the Citadel 330-42.
Yeah, and the other piece of that, 39 snaps for this Bison offense, just 20 for the Bulldogs offense. That could be something to keep an eye on in terms of physicality and fatigue in this second half.
Maurice Drayton told Dave Friedman that his team in the halftime locker room has to figure out to match the physicality of North Dakota State. They are a physical bunch, and they're trying to win again on the road, up by 17-0 at the break. Back in a moment with the second half. They just fired the cannons next to the field here at the Citadel, hoping to do that in the second half. Bulldogs trailing North Dakota State 17-0. Downstairs again to Dave Friedman with what's happening around the Southern Conference. Dave?
Yeah, it's such a fun time of year, guys, because expectations are so high and the season is new and anybody can achieve anything. But boy, the year began in weird, odd fashion last Saturday down in Montgomery, Alabama. Mercer playing against UC Davis, and Mercer trailed, and they were the inferior team for the first 30 minutes. But Mike Jacobs' team had a lot of momentum rolling in the second half. It sure looked like they were driving to take the lead midway through the fourth quarter when the lightning and the thunder came, and the game had to be evacuated, and they would not be able to continue. And it was a no contest between two top-ranked teams in the country, and a bunch of great games today. It's such a fun time of year. Rich, what do you remember about your first game or game one of the season?
I love the question, Dave. Unfortunately for us, it was a Miami football team that had a really good year in store, ended up losing. They lost to Ohio State in the national championship game that year. That was a rough one to start our season, but when it's the first opportunity to run out under the lights or in front of the fans and it's for real, there's nothing like the feeling that your body gets in that moment. So I miss those days for sure. I always make the joke, I got one play left. Who am I kidding? My body says no more.
So you knew when. There you go. North Dakota State kicks it away to start the second half. As Dave showed on the screen, some of the other SoCon games going on. Really interested to see how Furman plays coming up at the top of the hour at home against William & Mary, a team they hung in there against, which actually wears a very similar uniform to what these guys, North Dakota State, does. And Paladins, of course, a titleist a couple of years ago, really had things go in the wrong direction last year. And Wofford at SC State in Orangeburg, just up the road from where we are. Should be a very good test as well. Kick is away. Noth will let it go. Another touchback for Ozick. Citadel, which not only couldn't do a whole lot against a very good defense in the opening half, but simply didn't try to do all that much in terms of variety of plays. Let's see who they go with at quarterback. Looks like it's going to be Kobe Tompkins back out there. He came on in the second quarter after Quinnen Hayes started. And all this is because, well, their regular, who they hoped would start the season, the guy who was their backup last year, Dustin Fletcher, is out for a while with an injury. They're also missing their top running back, Corey Ibrahim. Another guy that they would count on out of the backfield, not available either, Johnny Crawford, we're told. So from the 25, and a little dump off and dropped. Was that a handoff or was that a forward pass? Going to be ruled a forward pass. The lateral or pass question, based on where the ball was thrown, in the direction of Johnson. Dangerous play right there.
I think he took his eyes off the football. There was a defender bearing down on him. You're going to see right here. Look at the top of the screen. You see the defender. This is actually really well done defensively there. And that's number 1.
Really nice read
Donovan
coming up.
Woolen.
Yeah, by Woolen. Plays a Sam position, but he's one of those hybrid guys. Sometimes you see him in the secondary. Other times you see him moving about.
Wait till his body fills out at 6'4", 219.
And that fumble, North Dakota State chasing it. Coming up with it is Kopp.
Fumble on the play, NDSU.
And they're going to rule him down shy of the goal line. Well, they almost had a chance for an easy pick six that was in the neighborhood of Kopp in the opening half. That time, second straight drop by Johnson proves to be disastrous for the Citadel, and the Bison 1 yard away from adding to this lead.
They tried to go with a simple little pitch to the right-hand side, and it just that ball just it never got all the way there. And obviously, all of a sudden now, you've got this Bison offense down inside the 5 yard line to start a drive. Absolutely the worst start Coach Drayton could have had to start this third quarter.
Saul Diaz, the tight end, saving a touchdown at least for now. So Peyton, one of the best red zone offenses last year. Lance trying to turn it outside toward the pylon. And he stopped shy of the goal line.
On the carry for NDSU.
And there it was. We talked about that in the open. As good as Lance is, just when you think you're figured out what they're going to do with him, every now and then they'll hand him the football. There it was right there. An excellent job by this Bulldogs defense, stringing it out, stringing it out, stringing it out, never allowing Lance to turn the corner and get in the end zone. This might be quarterback run here.
With a very physical QB, but out of the shotgun this time. Penu off the handoff, and he's into the end zone. Another rushing touchdown. Rika Penu, 7 TDs a year ago, and off to a good start here in 2025. So off the turnover, North Dakota State able to capitalize. Citadel very conservative offensively in the first half, and it was simply a matter of North Dakota State executing on offense to build their lead. Well, the Bulldogs did what they didn't want to do, handed the Bison a very short field, and Penu back in the end zone. Extra point try to make it 24-0, converted by Ozick. And just like that, North Dakota State builds it out to a 24-0 advantage. So you gave us your keys to the game to start out. Let's revisit those and see what the scorecard looks like.
Yeah, when you think about coming into this matchup and you look at both teams, and the question is who needs to do what to find a way to win a football game. And you know, right now, this is a Bison offense that has, I think, done a nice job getting their offense going, in particular early downs. So we'll certainly have a chance to watch this offense and see if they can continue to have that kind of success. But I don't care what anybody says, Pete. You give somebody a possession on the 2 yard line, it's going to be academic. They're likely going to score points.
First turnover in the game for the Bulldogs for either team. A year ago, North Dakota State's defense forced 25. They were plus 19, third in all of FCS in turnover margin. And that's one of the things, again, they have very simple credos in Fargo. And, well, one of them is how you win a football game. You don't turn it over, and you're really good on third downs. And that was a staple of their national title run when they won 14 out of 16 last season, added a 10th crown in the past decade and a half. Ozick, another deep kick. It'll be another touchback. So let's put those keys up there and go through them, because you've got to be efficient when you're playing a team of this caliber for the Citadel. But what about North Dakota State?
Well, North Dakota State, you have to establish the run. 185 yards rushing so far in this football game. Check. Win special teams. Nothing crazy has happened in special teams. That's a good thing when you're going against Coach Drayton and this group at the Citadel. If you're the Citadel, win first down. We've seen a number of third and long situations getting behind the chains in terms of their quarterback and having to try to throw the football. And then alignment and assignment, that's a check for this Bulldogs defense. They've been aligned and assigned with all these different personnel groupings. So decent job for both teams, but right now the talent of North Dakota State and the playmaking has taken them to this 24-0 lead.
Israel Benjamin out there for this series, and probably not lost on the fact that Johnson had some difficulty on the first two plays of this third quarter. Citadel team last year, 6th in the SoCon, averaged about 320 yards a game. They were second in the conference in rushing, 175 yards per contest. But Corey Ibrahim, a big part of that, not available for this ball game due to injury. Looking to throw as Quinnen Hayes is back in at quarterback, and he's taken down. Another sack by the Bison.
Yeah, that play action situation there just gave this defensive front too much time to get there. They're playing run on the way to the quarterback. That's what we're seeing from a mentality standpoint right now. All four guys were playing in the Bulldogs backfield there. That's not a recipe for success.
Elijah Wayne, true freshman out of Omaha Central with the sack. Yeah, as a guy right out of high school, you can make a mark on a very talented defensive front. This time, quarterback draw, good call. Hayes tackled high and slung down at the 30. And a more manageable third down situation, or rather a 4th down and 5 upcoming. They were trying to get it all right there on third down.
Just a quick decision on the run play here. It just goes right up the middle. They're playing a big zone behind it just in case the Bulldogs were looking to try to push the ball down the field. Wanted to have guys in position so they give up some yards, but they're able to rally up and tackle.
Platt once again busy today. And the lefty will kick it away, and it's a booming kick for the fine punter. Fair catch called for. North Dakota State about to go back on offense. They called their punter here at the Citadel, Platt McAfee, and we're told it's not just because of his punting. The personality might match. We've got a feature on him coming up. 24-0 Bison.
I'm an active duty Marine. I'm a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps, and I'm currently majoring in psychology with minors in education and fine arts. The leadership course with Dr. Portney, it's planning events on a broader scale. And this event that we're planning this year is the public speaking competition for the city. It used to just be school-wide, but now we've opened up to different perspectives, different backgrounds. And so what we're doing in that classroom is not only are we planning it, we're doing the fundraising, and then we're participating as well if we get selected for it. So one of the best parts about being at the school is I've had great professors in which I'm able to create really good relationships that help me better myself, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom, whether it's life, whatever they're teaching, and so on and so forth. This school will make you a better person, not just for the classroom, not just for the military, but the overall perspective of what it means to be a great individual who has something to contribute to society.
Third quarter here in Charleston. James Platt, another booming punt. 6 today, averaging nearly 45 yards per kick. One of the bright spots so far. And special teams, a big deal here with the Bulldogs. More on that from Dave Friedman. Dave?
James Platt is an All-American kicker, but he's not the only point on this special teams unit of Maurice Straden. This is a guy that coached Pat McAfee and Adam Vinatieri in the NFL. This is a guy that in his first year at the Citadel had a team that did not allow a block kick, was number 3 in the country in kick return defense. Last year, they got to 8 different kicks, and he said there's more meat on the bones, guys. He believes that special teams is every bit as important as offense and defense.
It has been a signature since Maurice Drayton returned to his alma mater, this time as the head coach. Well, they're hoping their D can be an important piece right here as North Dakota State goes back to work inside of its own 20. And the carry by Scott brings up second down.
At today's point, special teams is huge. And if you think about some of the programs that we've seen win at a very high level, you think about Ohio State last season at the FBS level, a lot of their key guys play on special teams. Urban Meyer, when he was winning national championships at both Florida as well as at Ohio State, that was a big factor in what he did. So special teams is often a key to championship level football teams. Coach Drayton with the same mentality here.
Lance in motion, movement before the snap. One of the few penalty markers we've seen thrown today. In terms of a play with a snap, usually we've seen a legal procedure before the snap or a delay of game. But this is going to back up North Dakota State, make it second down, a little bit longer.
And if you're this Bulldog defense, these kind of situations, you can play with a little more assumption of what's coming at you here. And just, again, a lot of movement from this defensive front pre-snap, changing alignment, impacting the offensive line there.
Half a dozen penalties against North Dakota State. Second down long. Scott has a hold and hit at the 20. And who else but the safety Cale Williams, who had 77 stops a year ago, a hard hitter. And it brings up third down and long.
I like Cale Williams. Every time you look up, he's sticking his nose in there. Doesn't matter how big the back is. He's using every bit of that 6-foot, 200-pound frame, getting those shoulders into it, driving his feet, trying to make plays on the football, setting up now a third and a little bit more than medium, if you will.
Yeah, 3rd and 7, but still they're off schedule, so the Bison will try to convert again. They've done so just once in 5 third down tries, and completing for the first down right in front of the sideline, and there is Lance. Interesting that he's the younger brother of Trey Lance, a high-level quarterback, and I asked their coach during our call this week, you think it helped when they played catch in the backyard, him developing his receiving skills?
Absolutely. And getting back to, not only is that a nice little route there, and we talked about he's not going to run by Bradley Jones, so there's going to be a lot more stop routes with him today. But a great job with the protection. This is a Bulldog defense, that particular play. They were a +2 blitz there, didn't get home against this offensive line.
Peyton looking to throw on first down. Instead, he'll tuck it and run. And he gets out across the 35. You've got to always realize that he's 6'3", 235. In fact, apparently NFL scouts are looking at him as much as a tight end, maybe a linebacker, maybe a safety, as they would be as a quarterback.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen him just moving past him. He looks bigger than 235. He's a big physical presence. And he's pretty athletic as well. So I think that's why you get some of those questions about other positions. I think he's a pretty solid quarterback as well.
Gatorade Player of the Year his senior season at Omaha West Side. First carry of the game for Owen Johnson, native of Mankato, Minnesota. You look down this roster and you see a lot of guys from Minnesota, but it makes sense if you're familiar with that part of the upper Midwest. Fargo, North Dakota sits pretty much right across the river from the state of Minnesota, and it's kind of like they may as well be the University of Northwestern Minnesota.
I tell you what, that's a beautiful part of the country. If you look, a lot of people think about the cold, but you go up there in the summer and just look around, it is a beautiful part of the country.
Scott lowers his shoulder, gets the first down. Now it's North Dakota State looking like they're simply trying to grind it out, work some of that clock. Long journey for them and an early start, 11 o'clock Central Time, kickoff to begin their season. Somewhere in the neighborhood of, 2,000 miles from their campus. Citadel will return the game next year, and boy, you see North Dakota State going on the road doing home and homes with other FCSs. A lot of the FBS teams just don't want to have anything to do with them anymore. They've gotten so many wins on Power 4 program fields in particular over the years. Peyton, slant, Lance. And then he breaks away. Finally knocked down, shy of midfield.
Yeah, they picked on the freshman Smothers there, number 37. He was unable to get Lance down on the initial hit there. But getting back to your point, Pete, you talked about the people not wanting to play North Dakota State. As we get another look here, watch Peyton. Nice read there, goes out to his left. And then the freshman just slides off of Lance. And Lance is able to get upfield and pick up some positive yardage. But getting back to that point about nobody playing North Dakota State, you don't want to give anybody a guarantee to come in your house and beat you.
Yeah, pay him a big check and you take the loss. Play action. Firing. And caught. Nice job with a defender right in front of him. North Dakota State, big yards. Reese Kessel. Redshirt freshman from right there in Fargo.
Big tight end at 6'5". Does an excellent job on that crossing route. Again, they pick on the freshman Smothers, number 37. He's trying to run with the big guy. There's a little separation. And then great job by Peyton fitting that football in. Coverage was pretty good, but the throw was better.
1st and 10 near the 20. Now they're going deep on the depth chart. First handoff of the game, Miles Mitchell, freshman from Chicago.
And Miles Mitchell is someone that they really, really like. They love his ability to be explosive. They think if you can get him in space, he's a big-time playmaker. They're going to give him some opportunities, see if he, as he gets his feet wet, see if he's a candidate to play throughout the season, or see if maybe they get him, he's a 4-game guy, and they're able to slap the red shirt on him.
They traveled, what did they tell us? 76 players made the trip, and they're heavily favored in this game, so no doubt they want to make sure just about everyone who got on the plane gets some game action. Peyton had some time, but that's where he's so dangerous, flushed out of the pocket. Hit and taken down by Maurice Bonneau. And it'll bring up 3rd down. He's, first off, tough to take down in the pocket. He's so big. And then again, not necessarily a speedster, but he always runs downhill. It seems like, I bet you he rarely loses yards on contact.
Absolutely. I was getting ready to make that point. And the other point to that is, then if you're a defender coming up to meet him, there's going to be some business decisions made later in the season.
That's a good point. Coming up on 5 to play in the 3rd quarter. We were scoreless after 1, but North Dakota State's been in control since. More time in the pocket, and now Peyton able to break a tackle inside the 10. A leap inside the 5. Mighty close. It'll be 1st and goal. Boy, I didn't realize he could jump that high.
That's a long way up for 235 pounds. And they go with tempo here, looking to punch it in quickly.
Handoff into the end zone, Scott. North Dakota State building on the advantage. A 2nd touchdown here in the 3rd quarter for the number 1 team in the land. So the Bison, they'll just wear you down as time goes on. Extra point try now coming up for Ozick is up and good. Well, Cole Peyton, we knew the running was going to be good. Not sure we knew it would be this good because he not only is able to get you on the ground, but in the air. That set up a touchdown. A 31-0 lead in the 3rd quarter for the number 1 team in the land on Engles SoCon football. It's in Hagood Stadium in Charleston, South Carolina. Back on Engles SoCon football, presented by Engles. Low prices, love the savings. And with Reginald Walker Jr. and Dave Friedman, Pete Hannity with you. Well, a 31-0 advantage for North Dakota State. Spike, the lovable Bulldog mascot, getting ready to welcome an Eagle to the league. And more on that, we go downstairs to Dave Friedman. Dave?
Yeah, that's right, Pete. A couple weeks ago, the Southern Conference announced the addition of Tennessee Tech from Cookeville, Tennessee to the league starting next year. So they'll be a part of the football conference beginning next year. And you can see where they fit in the SoCon footprint. We like to say it's all here in the league. Academics, athletics, but maybe the greatest selling point is the geography. I talked to Maurice Strayton about the addition, and he said they're another really, really good team to add to the league. They make the league better. That being said, Drayton not really that excited about getting on a bus to Cookeville, Tennessee. When you look at the Golden Eagles, 7-5 last year, they were in the old conference, the OVC, for over 7 decades. But Bobby Wilder is known for his offense. They're the favorite to win their league this year. They're opening up a new stadium or putting in a whole lot of money to the old stadium. But Bobby Wilder, Reg, he's the guy, whether it be Old Dominion or Tennessee Tech, he knows some offense.
Absolutely, he knows some offense. You take it all the way back to his days at Maine and the success they had there, as you see a nice play on special teams there for the Bison. But getting back to Bobby Wilder, understanding offense and played quarterback back at Maine in the 80s as well, really knows how to coach it, had some good success at that Old Dominion program as well. Now at Tennessee Tech, that's a great addition, another explosive offense coming to this league.
Braylon Noth, a little indecisive, and eventually knocked down by Keegan Huber, one of their backup defensive backs out of the state of Wisconsin. So the Citadel will start at its own 18-yard line. So Tennessee Tech coming into the Southern Conference, great addition. And Dave did make the point, and if you're a Citadel, a VMI, it will be a trip you've got to travel to. Javonte Graves-Billups, probably the top playmaker on this Citadel offense, and they get the ball to him for the first time. They tried earlier, and it didn't work out. It'll go for enough to move the chains, get him a first down.
Yeah, it's a great job. This is a read here by Hayes. There's actually a corner blitz. Number 10 there, Antoine Booth was coming on a little bit of a corner blitz. Graves-Billups works up the field behind it, and that's where they're able to drop it in. Good read that time by Hayes at the quarterback spot.
Bulldogs able to get one of the few first downs in this game. Off the fake handoff, Hayes has room. Grab from behind. Let's see if he's about a yard shy of the first down. Good open field tackle by Jalen Crumby. And it will move the chains, so another first down. But just quickly to wrap up that Tennessee Tech point, the map we showed you from Spartanburg, South Carolina, where Wofford's located, over to Cookeville, Tennessee, it's about a 4-hour drive. Draw a circle around that. You've got more than half of the league members will be in the, clustered in that area. 6 of the 11 full-time members there, and then surrounded by VMI, UNCG, Citadel, Mercer, and Sanford. Sanford happy to have another team in the Central Time Zone joining the league in Chattanooga. They also would be not all that far from Cookeville. In fact, they're due south. They're in the Eastern Time Zone, but Cookeville's due north of Chattanooga.
Well, I think the other thing to add to that, too, when you think about the league and the footprint and all those things, it's going to get a little bit easier to travel in that part of the country over the next few months. Helene did a number on a lot of the interstates through that area, particularly on the North Carolina side. Hurricane Helene last year, they're recovered. They've done a nice job recovering from that. And I think it'll get a little bit easier to move through there. We know the story about the East Tennessee State football team last season and that whole fiasco trying to get to a football game as well.
Another inside handoff brings up third down, and Tennessee Tech, some really good academic achievements within their university and recently achieved national acclaim in that regard. Technical school, and not all that far from Nashville, so another large market will be within reach of the Southern Conference. Third down, Bulldogs in the game, just 1 out of 7. Just a 3rd and 4, coming up on 2 to go in the quarter. The handoff is going to be enough for a first down. Good hard running once again. Israel Benjamin, he's been the go-to guy since the first series of this third quarter when the fumble by Johnson set up a quick touchdown to build on the 17-0 halftime advantage. And then Peyton and the Bison march downfield to add on the last possession. Once again, Benjamin. Once again, a hole open on the left side. Tyler Higgins-Hill had a really good camp. The left guard, they've been running over him. Mike Bartolucci, their center, is an all-SoCon performer.
I like this tempo right now for this Bulldogs offense. I think it allows them to attack a personnel group that they know defensively is going to remain on the field.
Play action. Hayes firing. Well over the intended target, trying to get it downfield to Malachi Taylor.
Looked like Malachi Taylor was kind of working and expecting maybe a back shoulder type throw. And Hayes instead pushed it down the field. A little bit off page there between the two, but I like the design. I like the aggressive call coming off tempo there on a second and medium. It's a good throw. But I think you see Taylor, it looks like he's kind of looking for back shoulder, and instead Hayes pushes it up the field.
Just the 5th pass attempt by a quarterback in this game for the Bulldogs. They're 2 out of 5. Hard running by Hayes on 3rd down. Comes up about a yard, maybe 2 shy.
That call there suggested this was 4-down territory, and it looks like it is.
Yeah, you would think so, as they're in North Dakota State territory for one of the few times today. So it'll be 4th down and a short 3. Maurice Drayton, you got to give him a pat on the back for how quickly he's turned things around, because he did not come into a good situation in 2023, but has quickly been able to get some talent in here. Keeping it on the ground, Benjamin pushing ahead. Really great second effort behind the left side of that offensive line. Israel Benjamin has himself a 1st down.
We saw something kind of old school from Citadel offensively there. Number 44, Sebastian Boyle is in the ball game. More like a fullback type at 220 pounds. They ran right behind him.
And now the handoff goes to Bash Boyle, and that's what he does. Nice carry on his first touch of the game, so credited with the block earlier, and by gosh, the payoff is a handoff that goes for 10 yards. Inside the 30, it's 1st and 10 once more. Bulldogs trying to go tempo, closing seconds of the 3rd quarter. They were trying to get a playoff, but we've got a timeout on the field.
Yeah, I think the Bison were concerned about personnel and being attacked there. So they get the timeout, but they've got a big 31-0 lead, but all of a sudden the Bulldogs driving, looking to get some points on the board.
Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. That guy would probably love to get himself some shoulder pads and football pants and go help out, but one of the cadets out here in force, as you would understand today, home opener, season opener in 2025 at Johnson Hagood Stadium. They knew they had a very tough one on their hands today. It's played out, I think, as a lot of folks thought that it would, in a 31-0 lead, but the Bulldogs driving. We are back with you on Engles SoCon football in about a month and a half. We'll pick up our schedule and have several games down the stretch. It'll begin with Furman and Wofford, Saturday, October 18th, a noon kickoff. The Paladins and Terriers, the upstate rivals, each team trying to build on the preseason predictions that had them in the second half of the Southern Conference poll, but that's always a great game. Those two teams opening action today in the Palmetto State as well.
Always an interesting time when the Paladins and Terriers go at it. Very close proximity, those schools. That's an area where there's high-quality football at all kinds of levels. And meanwhile, you think about, as you just mentioned, those teams getting started today. Furman 7, William and Mary nothing early.
And Wofford plays at SC State. You saw the baseball coach, Russell Triplett, in the background, by the way. He's cheering the team on. 1st down, final play of this 3rd quarter. Quentin Hayes with a run to the right. 2nd down for the Bulldogs when our 4th quarter begins here at Johnson Hagood Stadium in Charleston. We had rain earlier, overcast skies. Bulldogs trying to brighten things up as we head to the 4th on Engles SoCon football. 4th quarter rally here. A year ago, they had a bounce-back win. They went up to Lexington, Virginia, and won back the Silver Shaco in a 13-10 triumph against their arch-rival VMI. The Keydets had come in here and knocked them off the season before, but the 13-10 victory in 2024 got the prize trophy back. The Silver Shaco to the Charleston school. They held it high. A proud moment for Maurice Drayton. First time he wins the Shako as a head coach after achieving it in his playing days and following the Citadel since.
I can tell you right now, having a high school teammate that played at VMI, winning that trophy means a ton to the players, obviously, at both schools.
Hayes stumbling off the option, still positive yards for the first down inside the 15. Looked like for a second it was going to blow up as he tripped up right around the 25-yard line.
Yeah, he did a nice job reading it and then staying patient and forcing the defender to make a decision. The defender doesn't make a decision. You see it here, trying to play in between, and all of a sudden you just turn it upfield and turn it into a big play. This is well executed by Hayes. Almost went down early, but he's able to get a big run in there.
He's back in there after getting the start. Has been a spark. Here's a handoff, and Benjamin trying to wiggle his way. They can get a first down if they get inside the 3. They are obviously thinking this is 4-down territory in a 31-0 game. We were scoreless after one quarter, and to the Bulldogs' credit, and just gives you an idea as to how far along they brought their defense, how well coached they are. They kept a very potent offense in check for the first 15 minutes. And it's not like NC or North Dakota State ever really had a great flow until the midway part of the second quarter when they had that 90-play drive that got them their first touchdown. Second down here. Hayes being chased. He'll get out of bounds. It'll bring up third down.
Yeah, it's a good decision. There was really nothing there. The only other thing he could have done if he wasn't going to be able to beat those guys to the edge is just throw it away. But he does a nice job there, holds on to it, and he's able to get back to the line of scrimmage. You see it here. The pressure is there, but he uses the speed, and he's looking downfield, trying to see where he can go. Nothing there. Just get out of bounds. Don't take a big hit.
Hayes closing in on a 50-yard rushing game on 9 carries.
Hayes has played okay in this game. It looked a little shaky early, but now he's kind of getting his feet under him a little bit.
The handoff. Benjamin close to a first down inside the 5. Debut game for Israel Benjamin, going well for the native of Phoenix.
Yeah, that's a nice run right there. Good patience. Works his way to the left and then sees the cutback lane. Gets north and south right up the middle. Watch him work. You can see the eyes. He's getting to the outside. Then he sees space up in the middle. Nice cut. Little shift there. And he gets down to the 2-3 yard line.
It'll bring up fourth down and a long one. Bulldogs were 12 out of 23 on fourth down tries last season. They'll work from the shotgun. Benjamin hit. Stopped. Well shy of the line to get. And the Bison defense step up big. Well, a big surge up front. We've seen it throughout the day. Keenan Wilson, the sophomore out of Eagan, Minnesota, led the way. And North Dakota State, last season, they were top 5 in the Valley in fourth down D. And they prevent the Citadel from extending that drive or getting points. Ball placed at the 5-yard line, and the Bison will go back on offense. Best drive so far of the day for the Citadel, but it remains a 31-0 lead for North Dakota State on Engles SoCon football.
Good.
North Dakota State getting the stop. Their lead 31-0 early fourth quarter. The second season as head coach for Tim Paulusek, off to a good start, Dave Friedman.
Yeah, I'd say so. Now, the first season went pretty well, too. They won the national championship. He was a GA at North Dakota State. He was a position coach. Now he's the head coach. But boy, are expectations high when you follow a long line of coaches. All these guys do are win. Craig Bull moved on to Wyoming. Chris Kleiman to Kansas State, and that ends to Fresno State. But by God, the expectation up there is national title or bust. And so far, 4 coaches in a row, they have exceeded that expectation.
What impressive work they have done. They have become the team to beat in FCS, going for an 11th title over the past decade and a half this season. And they're going to give their backup quarterback some work. So into the game is Nathan Hayes. He's out of West Chicago, Illinois. And Dave, to continue your point, it's not like these guys moved on to, let's say, middling programs. I mean, Wyoming, sure, they've been able to do some damage over the years in the Mountain West, but the fact that Kleiman's now at Kansas State, for example, in a Power 4 program speaks a lot.
And not just at Kansas State, but winning. He's 48-29 at K-State and just played his first game as the head coach at Fresno State. And Bull obviously had a pretty darn good run at Wyoming. But all of those guys, Reggie, won not one, but multiple national titles. You have a real program when the expectation is show up and win, and then can you do that again? Because that's what we want you to do, and we expect you to do it.
Yeah, that's really high expectations, and these guys, they step into it. Some people run from those kinds of challenges. These guys look forward to those kinds of challenges, and getting back to Kleiman, he's got one of the better players in college football right now at the quarterback position in Avery Johnson. That's been a program that's had continued success in a place like Manhattan, Kansas, not the easiest place all the time to recruit to.
Pass complete for a first down. Nathan Hayes able to connect with Jackson Williams, sophomore out of Omaha. That'll move the chains. I think it's interesting that Paulasek came back for a third time to Fargo, so it tells you what he thinks of the program and the opportunity. He'd been an assistant coach in a couple of stints, and he's also the guy who's done some great work over the years as a college player. At Concordia in Wisconsin, he had a very solid career there.
Yeah, he's just understands how to coach the game and understands how to get the most out of the players that are in his program.
And getting the most on the run, taking the high handoff, but turning the corner, Cortez LeGrant. 5 different running backs have seen action so far for North Dakota State.
Yeah, they describe this guy very simply, trigger and go, because Cortez LeGrant has a ton of speed, and it's all about getting opportunities for him to get going, get that speed going downhill, and then go make things happen. And to get back to the point about the coaches, got to give a ton of credit to Matt Larson as well, the athletic director, understanding who to hire to continue the expectations and the legacy of winning national championships.
Citadel figuring it out that time. Good job to surge into the backfield by the Bulldogs defense. Jeremiah Holmes getting in on the stop. First time I, though, remember North Dakota State picking up one of those signature eye-raising wins as a Division I program was back around 2006, 2007 in basketball when they went in and won at Wisconsin. And that was like a Saturday morning game that wasn't on TV. I was sitting in Alexander Coliseum in Georgia Tech. I'll never forget when I saw this score. I'm like, I wasn't even, I think, aware at the time they'd moved to D1 or had fully gotten the certification. Firing is Hayes and completing for another first down. That time, Lance. And so anyway, they went in and beat Wisconsin 2 days after they'd lost a game at Southern Utah, and they had to make the trip to Madison, but played a late morning game, and that's the first time I ever noticed them getting a big upset.
Yeah, they know what they're doing up there in Fargo. They understand it. And I think the most important part of it is not only the administration understands who they are, the athletes understand the expectations that they're walking into, and they are looking for that type of expectation and accountability.
Hayes for North Dakota State, not to be confused with Hayes of the Citadel, who did some good work on that previous drive, and that time hooks up with Chris Harris. Another catch for the El Paso, Texas native, and another first down.
Yeah, Nathan Hayes showing us that he can spin it as well. He's got a big arm. He's about the same height as Cole Payton, a little bit thinner. He's only about 220 pounds instead of the 235. I think Cole Payton's closer to 240. Might be a skittle short of 245, but that's just me. But this young man, Hayes, is doing a nice job spinning it, right-handed quarterback. Looks a little bit different, but just as effective so far in this game.
Handoff on first down, and for the most part, they're simply trying to run some clock here as well with the passing package. Cortez LeGrant, another carry. So to bring up second down and 8. And midway mark of this fourth quarter is passed. for guys like Melvin Ravenel and the Citadel Bulldogs. They've hung tough. The defense has been on the field a lot in this ball game. And just with a variety of injury issues to their offense that no team would really want to have to endure, they try to do their best, but tough team to try to pull that off against. Pass connected to Logan Conklin into the game. Another one of their backup wide receivers. Another one of the players from their home state in Minot, North Dakota. We understand this game is being televised all around the state of North Dakota as well. So it's heavily televised on our regional Engles SoCon Football Network in the Southeast, up in North Dakota on the ABC affiliates there and on ESPN+. So great to have you on board. Hope you've enjoyed the season opener here in 2025. Another first down, another handoff, and carrying is Miles Mitchell.
You mentioned it earlier, and you were just talking about the folks watching up there. Also, over into the state of Minnesota, plenty of people watching. Some of them,
right.
Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, some of them are probably out on boats. Watching these games right now as well. So enjoying themselves, watching their Bison right now with a 31-0 lead on the road.
Right there on I-29 and literally just across the river from Minnesota. So I think their folks were telling us that the counties, they do reciprocity. So if you're one of the border counties in Minnesota, you can get in state at the North Dakota State Schools. Slipping to the ground off of the handoff, Cortez LeGrant on the second down carry. I'll tell you, Reggie, in getting ready for this game, one of the more surprising facts I came across was the fact that just up I-29, you get to Grand Forks, where the University of North Dakota is located, and they have had a national hockey program in D1 for years. But of the 4 major state schools in the Dakotas, the University of North Dakota is the only one with a hockey program, a varsity hockey. I couldn't believe it. I asked the North Dakota State sports information folks, so how good's your hockey team? Because we don't have hockey, nor do South Dakota State or South Dakota. A lot of schools have club hockey like the Citadel does. Peyton firing, man open in the end zone for the touchdown. Boy, that's got to feel great for the backup QB and for Isaiah St. Romain. Redshirt freshman from Wilson, North Dakota. And the Bison add to their lead. A very efficient drive for the backup QB, Nathan Hayes, on a relief of the starter, Cole Payton.
Yeah, Hayes looked really comfortable in the pocket, moving this football team down the field, and does an excellent job reading it properly and dropping it in the bucket for St. Romain.
This came after they stopped the Bulldogs on 4th and short inside the 10-yard line. A 95-yard scoring drive that they bookend with the 90-yarder they had back in the second quarter. Ozick on to try the extra point and make it a 38-0 game. Other than a very steady rain with their buses pulled up at about 10 a.m., and that continued into the opening quarter for the most part. The rain eventually subsided in quarter number 1, and everything else has seemingly worked out perfectly for the reigning national champs. 38-0 game. Hayes, St. Romain connecting on another passing touchdown for the Bison. North Dakota State, number 1 in the land in FCS, and looking the part on Engles SoCon Football. Good Stadium here in Charleston on Engles SoCon Football, presented by Engles. Low prices, love the savings. Well, Maurice Drayton, his team trying to put up a fight. Not been a great day, but they have hit hard, played physically, trailing here 38-0 in the fourth quarter. Back down to Dave Friedman for the business side of the Citadel head coach. Dave?
Yeah, for anyone that's ever hung out with Maurice Drayton, he's a good time. He's in a good mood constantly. He's got juice, he's got energy, and he's also an entrepreneur. When he worked up in Green Bay, he loved the community. And during COVID, he bought a piece of the bar, C Street Pub, right downtown, 312 Cherry Street in Green Bay. It's about 3 miles from Lambeau Field. And he said the audience that they serve there, it's blue collar. It's industry workers, it's first responders. And oh, by the way, it's football coaches, may or may not be Green Bay Packer coaches that go over there. And then he struck up a relationship down here in the Low Country with Over the Horizon Brewing. It's owned by a group of Citadel grads that are passionate about the program, and they wanted to give back. So they created the Moe's Ginger Ale Farmhouse Ale. And they also have created a beer for the basketball coach here, Ed Conroy, and $1 of all of the sales to those beers come back to the program, whether it be the basketball or the football program at the Citadel. So I asked Mo what he thought of the ginger ale, and he goes, I don't drink beer, but I do drink that.
Dave, by the way, you confirmed the question I was going to follow up with if Ed Conroy, the basketball coach, became involved with that. A fun guy in his own right. Tompkins back on to play quarterback once again. Hayes had handled the chores for the bulk of this second half, and a pass in the flat toward Graves Billups.
Conroy's triple-double wit.
So we'll have to remember that. I'll have to ask Ed if he helped inspire. I assume he did. The recipe for that.
You know you've made it when something is named after you.
Yeah, that's pretty
at
cool.
A restaurant or something to that effect.
As a sandwich, or in this case, a craft beer. 5 to go in our game. Once again, the guy they call Bash Boyle, turns the corner. I see potential for the Citadel team. They've obviously got to get things right at quarterback. Fletcher returning to duty, and that could be a few games down the line, would obviously be a help. But once again, they've got runners that aren't afraid to lower their shoulder.
Yeah, Boyle right there. He is bringing the wood. You got to make a decision when he's coming down the field at you. How high do you want to go? You might want to get to those legs and try to get him down that way.
Tompkins' second season in the program, saw action in 4 games a year ago. Boyle on third down is stopped. And Platt and the punting group will head back out. Well, the Bulldogs, a primer against the #1 team in the land today, and a trip over to Homewood, Alabama next Saturday when they open up SoCon play against the Sanford Bulldogs, who took one on the chin in their opener Thursday night on Engles SoCon football, when West Georgia looked very impressive in getting a 34-3 win against Chris Hatcher's team. So they'll have a couple of teams nicknamed Bulldogs, and each hungry to get things right in game number 2. Platt, wind really hasn't been a factor at all today, and thankfully, since the early stages of this game, the rain has not impacted in terms of falling, but the field, we have seen some slick spots at times. Closing things out here, final 3.5 upcoming, 38-zip on Engles SoCon football. Turnout of North Dakota State fans making the trip down, hopefully getting the opportunity either in the couple of days leading into the game or maybe this evening to enjoy all that Charleston has to offer. And a lot of those folks probably seeing the state of South Carolina and the Holy City for a first time, but what a great turnout for them. Upcoming schedule includes a visit back into the Southeast next week. They won't have to travel as far, but they'll be in Nashville taking on Tennessee State. When they eventually play South Dakota State, they'll compete for the Dakota Marker Trophy, which is a kind of a pole that marks the boundary between North and South Dakota. And you'd think, well, they've developed this rivalry with South Dakota State, a trophy game. And one of the reasons is because when North Dakota State went Division I earlier this century, South Dakota State did as well. North Dakota and South Dakota remained Division II before making the jump. But it's developed into a heated rivalry over the years. Plus, those teams usually are hanging around late in the FCS playoffs as well.
That is one of the greatest things about college football in particular are some of the trophies, whether it's the land-grant trophy, that's Penn State, Michigan State, which I played for, but some of the other ones at the FCS level, Battle of the Piney Woods. Some of those, there's another trophy that's about 7 feet tall down in Texas. Can't remember the exact 2 schools that play for it, but some of these trophies are absolutely amazing to look at. And then you get things like the old Oaken Bucket and those types of things, the Paul Bunyan's axe, all these random trophies. But it's awesome to see these kids be able to hold these things up when they win these games.
I think my 2 favorites are Minnesota, Michigan, the Little Brown Jug, and Floyd of Rosedale, Minnesota and Iowa. So Minnesota's got 2 of the coolest. I think it's Minnesota, Iowa that do Floyd of Rosedale.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Yeah, it's a couple of the Big Ten schools in that neck of the woods. Wisconsin may be involved in that. But North Dakota State has lived up to the billing, and again, give them credit. Opening game of the year, several key players moved on, graduated. Some of them landed in the NFL. You were impressed about the number of offensive linemen they've been able to crank out over the years. And their head coach actually told us they're a little bit leaner this year, and by that he means from up around 320 to down around 305. Ball is fumbled, and Hayes trying to fall on it. See if the Bison keep possession. But the fact that they have had very high-level draft picks, Chattanooga had a player drafted in the first round off their offensive line a couple of years ago, but high draft picks on the OL have pretty much become the norm as we take another look.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a turnover, and the Citadel able to get the ball back. Looked like North Dakota State would hang on to it, but it'll go back to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, big opportunity for the Bulldogs to try to get some points on the board. Getting back to what we were talking about with trophies, the Chief Cadeau Trophy, 7 feet 6 inches tall, 320 pounds, Northwestern State Stephen F. Austin. How about that?
That prize will be on the line later this season. We come back in a moment. Turned out to be a pleasant day here in Charleston. The Cadets doing their best throughout this game. We told you the Bulldogs and Bulldogs of the SoCon will go at it next Saturday out near Birmingham. Citadel also with the running Bulldogs of Gardner-Webb. I'll tell you that Mercer game, Reggie, on the 20th, the preseason SoCon favorite coming in here, that's not going to be an easy battle for Mike Jacobs' team.
No, it's really not. And I think this defense, we've seen enough out of this defense today from the Bulldogs to know that they're going to be a difficult team to score points on a consistent basis.
I misspoke, by the way. It was not a turnover. It's fourth down. A little bit of confusion on the field before that timeout. And the punt, which we have not seen for North Dakota State, and Noth with the diving catch.
Great job there by Noth, understanding, recognizing where that ball was going to fall, gets ahead, dives in and grabs it. But getting back to the point, yeah, I mean, you start thinking about what this conference is going to look like. And I'll tell you right now, defensively, I think there's a lot of teams in this league that are much improved. And some of these offenses are some explosive offenses in the SoCon, don't get me wrong. But I think you're going to see some interesting scores at certain points in football games in this league because I think defensively it is greatly improved.
I thought this year trying to predict the SoCon order of finish as difficult as could be. Cooper Tankersley, also listed on their depth chart at quarterback, coming in. Played his high school football at Greenville's Wade Hampton High. Handoff here with about a minute and a half remaining.
Upstate young man played his high school ball up in the upstate, as they call it, here in South Carolina. So you got the upstate, and then you've got this area down here, which is another hotbed of talent. That the state of South Carolina high school football, it is up there amongst the best in the country, and they will let you know that really quickly.
Another handoff. Bulldogs seemingly content just to wind things down. And to your point, I think it's important to also note, as the ball was carried by Peyton Betts, the talent that Maurice Drayton is bringing in here, you see a lot of Berkeley or Somerville, and they're trying to get some kids who maybe went elsewhere for the college football to come back home and finish their careers here at the Citadel, or obviously arrive here as a cadet. As you know, not the easiest sell as a military school, but if a sport translates to the whole military lifestyle better than any other, it would be football. Tankersley with the carry out to the 45-yard line.
And that's the new formula for coaches, as you mentioned. If you're a local kid and there's a potential you're going to go away to a group of five school or something like that, keep that connection with the local school because you may end up transferring home.
That's going to do it. We will not get another snap. Head coaches will shake hands at midfield. North Dakota State coming in and getting a 38-0 win, and frankly, just kind of sizing this ball game up. It played out as I thought it would. Citadel hanging around in the first half, really because of some key injuries on offense, not able to generate against a fabulous defense. North Dakota State, new starter at quarterback, but talented there and in so many other areas. And eventually the Bison able just to wear down the Bulldogs, but some big plays along the way, a couple of drives of 90-plus yards. And as a result, they continue on. Their head coach, Tim Paulisek, has won 17, or I should say 15, of his first 18 games 17 games at the helm. He's now 15-2 as a head coach at North Dakota State with a national title under his belt last year.
Yeah, nearly over 37 minutes, almost 37 minutes of possession for this Bison offense. That is what their formula is going to be. They're going to lead with the run and finish you out with the pass. Excellent performance today.
A reminder, we're back with you on Engles SoCon football on October 18th. Herman and Wofford will kick it off at noon. Hope you join us then. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsor, Engles Markets. Engles, low prices, love the savings. Again, the final score, North Dakota State 38, the Citadel Bulldogs nothing. And on behalf of Reggie Walker and Dave Friedman, Pete Hannity saying so long from Charleston, South Carolina. And this has been a presentation of ESPN.